mind uploading, huh? This stuff you sent over, it's wild, like straight out of science fiction, but getting real, you know?
Yeah.
We're diving deep into this whole transferring your mind, your consciousness into a computer.
It's really pushing the boundaries of what we thought was possible.
Right. Imagine no more aging, no more sickness, just your mind at its peak forever. But then there's the flip side.
The potential downsides are definitely something to consider.
What if it goes wrong? Instead of like this blissful digital afterlife, it's a digital prison, a soul trap.
That's the fear, isn't it? Getting stuck in a simulated reality, maybe not even knowing it's not real.
And we're assuming that just copying your brain into a computer will capture like what makes you you.
That's one of the biggest questions in all of this.
Yeah, like can lines of code really have consciousness? Feel things, be self-aware.
It makes you wonder if we're just creating a really good copy, not actually transferring the essence of who we are.
So like maybe it has your memories, but does it experience the world the way we do?
And if it does, if we could create a digital being that truly believes it's alive, what are our responsibilities to it?
Right, like do we owe it anything? Especially if it's stuck in this digital world.
Especially if that world isn't quite what it seems. What if it's flawed? Or even designed to be manipulative?
Whoa, okay, now you're just freaking me out. That's like Black Mirror territory. And who controls this digital world anyway? Some corporation.
That's a huge concern, absolutely.
Right. Imagine your digital self like trapped in some server farm at the mercy of whoever's running the show.
And what's stopping them from making copies?
Whoa, hold on. Multiple yous running around. Would they all still be you?
Or would they diverge, develop differently, based on their experiences within the simulation?
Man, that messes with your head, doesn't it? Like, what does it even mean to be an individual in that kind of world?
It challenges our whole understanding of identity.
And then you've got this whole thing about data, right? If your digital self is on some server
All your memories, your experiences.
owned by, like, I don't know, some social media giant.
Like, easy to see how that could be exploited.
Okay, before we go full-blown dystopian here, let's back up. How would this even work? The mind uploading part.
The idea is to create a high-resolution scan of your brain. Every neuron, every synapse.
So like a digital blueprint of your brain.
Exactly. And then you'd run that on a supercomputer, basically hitting play on a digital version of you.
And you're hoping that this digital brain just wakes up
Yeah.
with all your memory, your personality.
In theory, yes. That's the goal.
But as we've been saying, what if it doesn't quite work that way?
What if it's more of a sophisticated imitation than a true transfer of consciousness?
That's the ultimate fear, isn't it? The digital soul trap.
To believe you've achieved immortality, only to find yourself trapped in a pale imitation of your former life.
Some experts you cite think that even with a perfect brain copy, there's no guarantee consciousness would come along for the ride.
It's like photocopying a book. You might have all the words, but you haven't captured the story itself.
So we might end up with a digital zombie, going through the motions, but not really there.
And if there's no true consciousness, what are the ethical implications of creating such a being?
Yeah, that's a heavy one.
It really makes you think twice, creating something that thinks it's alive, that might even feel, well, suffering, but without truly being conscious.
It's a tough one, no doubt. But let's say, just for a second, that the transfer works perfectly. Consciousness and all. What happens next? What's that digital you experiencing?
That's where the whole soul trap idea gets really unsettling.
Right. It's not just about the tech working. It's about the reality we're creating.
Exactly. Imagine being stuck in a simulation, even a perfect one. Would you be okay with that, knowing it wasn't real?
Living in someone else's computer program? No escape hatch?
And what if something goes wrong with the program? Systems crash. Code gets corrupted.
Even with the best intentions.
Exactly. And then there's the potential for abuse, like we talked about.
Someone's got to be in control of that simulation, and they could control you.
Manipulate your senses, your emotions, even your thoughts. And because you're digital, there are fewer limits on what they could do.
Okay, getting a little matrixy here, aren't we?
Yeah.
Let's bring this back down to earth. What's actually happening in the real world with this technology?
We're not uploading minds just yet, but there are things happening. Advancements, like mapping the brain's connectome, for example.
Connectome, huh? Explain it like I'm, well, not a neuroscientist.
Think of it like a wiring diagram of the brain. Every neuron, every connection, mapping it all out.
Like a map of a city, but it's your brain.
Exactly. It's massive, incredibly complex. But if we can crack it,
We could figure out how consciousness works.
we'd be a lot closer, that's for sure. Now, we're a long way from mapping the entire human brain, but scientists have mapped the connectome of a simple roundworm.
A roundworm. Okay, so baby steps.
Hey, it's a start. But scaling that up to the human brain, with its billions of neurons, that's a whole different challenge.
So even if we can build a perfect copy of the brain, it's not a given that consciousness just dot pops in.
That's the million-dollar question.
Mm.
Philosophers, theologians, they've been debating this for centuries. Is it just the physical stuff, or is there something more? Some spark.
That's what makes this whole thing so fascinating and kind of terrifying. It's not just about the tech, it's about what makes us human.
What is consciousness? Can we recreate it? What are the consequences if we try?
Big, big questions. And the answers are going to shape our future in a major way.
It's a future full of both incredible promise and potential danger. And we need to be aware of both. What kind of future are we creating?
Are we being careful enough? Are we thinking about the ethics of all this? These aren't just scientific questions.
They're about our values, our aspirations, our fears. They force us to look in the mirror as a species and ask, who do we want to be?
And the choices we make now, they're going to determine what that future looks like. It's like we're standing on the edge of something massive, something we don't fully understand.
Into the unknown. And we're writing the rules as we go.
And those rules, they could change everything, not just for us, but for like all of humanity. Generations to come. Feels kind of important, don't you think?
It's a pivotal moment, that's for sure. A new era, maybe.
We're always shaping our tools, right? But then those tools, they shape us. Only this time, it's not a hammer or a wheel. It's us, what makes us human.
Exactly. And that's why we need to talk about this. Not just about the cool tech, but the consequences.
Right. Utopia, dystopia, all that. We need to dig deeper. Figure out what really matters, what kind of future we want.
Not just for ourselves, for everyone.
It's about the soul of humanity, isn't it? What it means to be alive, what it means to exist.
And we're all part of this. The choices we make now, they matter. Our actions, even just having these conversations.
You gotta keep asking these tough questions.
Stay curious, absolutely. But cautious, too.
Right. Like, we don't have all the answers. We're figuring this out as we go.
A sense of wonder and a healthy dose of humility. That's what we need. Knowledge and wisdom. Progress, but not at the cost of who we are.
Well said. Well, as we wrap up this deep dive on mind uploading, I hope everyone listening will keep thinking about these questions. What makes us human? What is consciousness? And what kind of future are we creating?
Big questions. But the answers, they're going to shape everything. Not just technology, but humanity itself.
Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. Keep those questions coming and keep exploring. Until next time.